heterodimensional. Okay, well, I think that the title is against the generation of infinitely many independent homoclinic class heterodimensional. Then I need to click to copy it or something like this.
No. We just
Well, first, it's a great pleasure to give this talk in this new classroom in PUC. Very nice. And of course, it's a great pleasure to visit Poland, especially in. Thank you for the time. Well, now let me start. Let me start recalling the Newhouse construction. Of diffuse with infinitely many things. Well, in the Newhouse construction, our key assumption is that you have a diffeom. Let me suppose that we are in dimension 2, and this diffeom is at least of class 3. Okay, the construction will use the extension properties, and the construction goes like that. You have a stable for P, and assume that the saddle is, for instance, dissipative. Let me assume that P is a fixed point to simplify things, and assume that the saddle is dissipative, meaning that the product of the contracting and expanding electric value is less than 1. Okay, and the diffeom has homoclinic tangencies. That means that the stable and stable medical of P have non-quadratic intersection that is a quadratic intersection. And then what Newhouse did is the following: he proved that, let me call this diffeom F, that you can perturb the diffeom F. Here a perturbation is a very small perturbation. In such a way, you get a new diffeom. Let me make like this. Then you have here a new homoclinic tangency. Okay, you are joining these two. Okay, you have, well, let me assume that the fixed point doesn't change to simplify assumptions, and then you get a diffeom that has a new homoclinic tangency, that is the third ingredient. Okay, and the diffeom has also one sink. And let me call this diffeom F1. Okay, and now once you have now to replace F by a new diffeom, sorry, but you have the same configuration as the previous one, but you have a sink, and you can do this by a very small perturbation. Then you can repeat this infinitely many times, and then at the end of the construction, you get infinitely many sinks. Then the idea of the construction is, in each step, you get a new tangency. In each step, you have two things. You have a new tangency and also a new sink. And not that sinks are persistent by perturbation. At this step, you are adding one sink to go to infinity many. Indeed, the proof is a little bit more elaborated, because it's possible right here. Okay. Here, he proved the following: two ingredients which are important are something that is nowadays called Newhouse domains. What is a Newhouse domain? Well, in the C2 topology, you have here open set. Okay, let me call U. And in this open set, for every diffeo here, you have a hyperbolic set, lambda f. This hyperbolic set depends continuously with the diffeo. Okay. You get a new hyperbolic set, and then the additional assumption is that every lambda f has homoclinic tangency. And here, let me observe that Cook's Mayo theorem tells us that generically the invariant manifold of Saddles are in general position. That is homoclinic tangency means that the stable manifold or the stable lamination of lambda f, okay, intersects tangentially the unstable manifold of lambda. You have something like this. You have here a horseshoe. Is in the horizontal, we have the stable manifold of the horseshoe. In the vertical, we have the unstable lip of the horseshoe. And for every diffeo f, we have a configuration like this. And the main idea to prove this is something that you have to introduce, that is the thickness of a campus. This is Newhouse construction. And then at some moment, I was curious if it is possible to translate this sort of construction to another setting. Okay. So, condition or construction to other settings. And now let me explain which are the settings that I want to discuss. Well, here, of course, if you are in a surface diffeomorphism, you have three types of periodic points. On one hand, you have the seeds, okay, the saddles, and the repairs.
Let me ask one thing. I understand that you don't explain why concretely the thing exists, but there's contraction of the disk into itself, right? So
yes, this is the construction of physical.
the double arrow here.
Yeah, it means that the dynamics here is
It's max.
Yeah,
it's into itself. So you don't
exactly. More or less what you have here is you can construct rectangle.
No, I don't know. I just this is my question.
What do
You
you
need
need?
to construct anything. You have this starting from the saddle to the tangency point, and then the scale from stable. There's a disk topologically, and the disk is mapped into itself.
But this is not that simple to get this sort of this. For that you need to do some perturbation. No, this I don't see any this here that you can construct. This is for constructing that piece of this, you need to.
I'm wrong. And just mean you have a disk.
But the thing is in the maybe that this is attracted by this point.
So the fixed point is on the boundary.
No, the fixed point is on the boundary, and the fixed point is not a thing.
Okay,
Of course. No, very good question. Okay, very good. You hear perfect. You have here an invariant region to say again that is T1.
That you don't keep even very strong contractions.
And then, well, you prompt perhaps what happens. I think what happened with the application. Every point goes to this point. No, okay. Perhaps you make up construction like this, but you have things a priori.
Okay.
No, okay, very okay. Well, in dimension 2, you have three types of hyperbolic periodic points. You have the things, the sub repel, and the sub. And it's clear that things cannot interact dynamically with other things because they are attracted. And then you can say that this set you can consider there elementary piece of dynamics. You can also consider, depending on the case, a horseshoe, maybe an independent piece of dynamics. Well, there, the first step is that you move to other concepts. The next thing that you need to do is to define what is what you start by an elementary piece of dynamics. Now I move to the other factor. Okay. Now the context, okay? I am interested in particle hyperbolic dynamics. Well, I cannot go to the other blackboard, but let me say that in the other construction, a key tool is the other construction. These two important tools are the quadratic family and also renormalization. Okay, but now let me now go to the slightly different, very different setting in what follows for to avoid many technical difficulties. Let me assume that we are in dimension 3. You can do this in higher dimensions. And the hypothesis that we have is that we have a part of the ambient space. We have a splitting with 3 directions. In one direction, we have uniform expansion. That is, we have a strong stable bundle. We also have a strong stable bundle, and we have a bundle in between that is the central direction. And maybe we may have points where we have the central direction is contracting. There are another points with this central contracting direction, sorry, is expanding, but always this expansion is bigger or dominates the expansion in the central direction, and the same holds for this. This is what we call particle hyperbolic dynamics. I don't want to define this because it's not necessary. And then the first observation is that when we have this sort of dynamics, we have that there are no things. Well, because we have a stable direction, and also there are no sources. And then if we want to repeat the sort of construction and Newhouse arguments, we need to find, a substitute for things, for sources. And where I will claim that this substitute is something that I will call homoclinic class, that I am going to explain. And second, well, the type of bifurcation that is typical in the particle hyperbolic setting is the following. You have two saddles. This. This saddle has a, well, you now try to consider the same classification as in the previous case. Well, you know that you don't have scenes, you don't have sources, but you have now that the saddle is split into two types of saddle where you see is contracting, and saddles where EC is expanding. Okay.
What if from one side and one side?
Or hyperbolic.
And you want hyperbolic?
For me, saddle, sorry, I know that you like very much. but I am considering only that for me a salary is better. Okay, and then we'll look up another point here. Well, here we have this strong unstable direction, this strong of this point, and then I need to relate these two points cyclically. And then for that, what you do is that you need that the unstable manifold of P of Q meets transversely the stable manifold of P. Note that we have enough dimension to get this sort of intersection because this stable manifold is two-dimensional. This stable dimension manifold is also two-dimensional, and then, for instance, the simplest case is when you have an intersection like this. Okay. They intersect along this curve, and well, you have that you assume that the stable manifold of Q that now has dimension 1 intersect. Well, the intersection cannot be transferred because we don't have enough dimension. You have something like this. This is a heterodimensional cycle. I did this figure many times here in Timpa. And then we know to the start which are the type of dynamics that generate this sort of cycle. Well, when you deal with homoclinic tangencies, well, homoclinic tangencies are more or less, all the homoclinic tangencies are equal, but when you deal with heterodimensional cycles like this, the type of cycles depend on many factors. For instance, the first factor is this intersection. How is this intersection? Here in this case, I am the intersection includes a curve that goes from Q to P, is tangent to this bounded PC, and then you have a piece they transfer to this stable direction and also to the stable direction. But in principle, you may have a much more complicated figure, and also where you have this intersection here. And for instance, the intersection is you don't know if this part of the manifold when you use different color, you don't know if this part you follow this part, you don't know if this part comes like this or comes to the other side. And then the point is that when you deal with this sort of cycle, you have many geometrical constraints. And then the first thing that I want to introduce is, well, something that I call the simple heterodimensional cycle. And also, I will introduce the second thing is, well, here I have the quadratic family. I would like to introduce a family that in some sense is let me write here, the simple conforming. Okay, and that is what I'm going to do in the next. I move to the other. Sorry. Don't let me discuss simple dimensional cycles. And then I will do this in the you see the scale you product. You product from it. One is the product, and the things goes as follows. Well, here when we study the cycle, we have two parts of the dynamics. One is the dynamic here. And then I will call the dynamics in the connection. And we also have the dynamic associated to the form. Now let me explain how we do this. So when we consider the set of two symbols, or one symbol is zero. That could, that could only make another people. I'm moving from one side to the other. And do that. I have the other symbol that corresponds to this unfold. Then I have two maps. If not, and F1. Okay, well, I will identify this pure with the interval 1. That said, we have a map like this. We have a rectangular point, an attractive point, and for instance, we may have a map like this. Okay. But in principle, you may have a much more complicated map. The only thing that I need to assure is that this map is monotonous. For instance, we have something like this. Seem more complicated. The only thing that I need is that this map is increasing. Here is 0.0, 1. Here is contracting, and here the packet. This map describes what is going in the central direction. And then I need to introduce a second map that corresponds to the unfolding of the cycle. Well, this when you have a quadratic family, a way to study. There is a version of Newhouse theorem for parameterized families, and then I will consider the unfolding of that cycle that we move to the right.
F0 is from where to where? From interval to interval?
Yes, the map to the interval to the interval 0, 1. Identify is element with the interval 0, 1. Okay, it's okay.
Do you estimate anything about the smoothness of F0?
Well, I need to. We need at some moment to assume that it's two. That depends on what's what to do.
Sure.
At the moment, I told you that in the example of Newhouse, the distortion estimate are fundamental, very important, and here the same. And then at the end of the day, I will at some moment, all my construction is based on distortion, control distortion, and if you have control distortion, you need to have C2 or something similar. Then the unfolding of the cycle is, well, here is the map 1 for a parameter 0. Okay. And then the thing that I have now is a family. Well, as T increase, you have something like this. Let me use F1. It's a map. Okay, it's a map for I should say F1. Very good question, but let me that F1 is a map. But if you want, you can do anything here. But I am now interested only on the interval 0, 1, and then F1 is a ring, is a map, F1T, just to simplify. Suppose that F1T is simply this map. It's not very important how it's mapped. Is 1 minus T minus X plus T. The important thing is that for T equals 0, 1 goes to 0, and for t bigger than 0, one goes to something positive. Assume that for just for simplicity, assume that the map F1 is the map here. It's not very important. The only thing is that we need maps like this. Okay. As t increase, one goes to say t, and 1 minus t goes to 0. Okay, and then we have a family of skew products defined now to this interval, and I are interested only on the points alpha x, okay, such that, well, I need to say f, well, let me use to write the map, sorry. You have this map. You have defined the map F1T, the map F0T, and then you have this map. You apply the shift map in the first coordinate, and you apply the map Fi, well, Fit in the second column. I have that F0T is equal to F. Okay. And then I am interested in the points in the orbits. In orbits. Sorry? Alpha naught. So the first coordinate. I am interested on points whose orbits remain on sigma 2 times 0.1. In other words, if you consider this map, the map F1T, this, for the points here, I can apply either F naught or, but I can apply F naught, sorry. For the points here, I can apply both F naught and F1 because these points are mapped by F1 inside. But for these points, I can only apply F1. Okay, oh, sorry, F naught, because if I apply F1, I will go to the negative side, and then you are. And then I want to study this kind of maps, and I tell you that this sort of map described is the simplest model for describing this sort of map. I want to say two things. Well, of course, this is a topological object because here we have only one direction where we can do derivatives, but well, this is a kind of differentiable dynamics. And the second thing is that, well, you can define as you, but we don't have any differentiability, but you can define the stable set of T or T, and you can also be unstable, and the similar thing for instance, used to do if I consider this point here, let me consider the point 1 minus t, and now I need to say which are the, let me go to the, you consider this point, the first coordinate is 1, sorry, the final coordinate is 1 minus t, and in the basis you have, we first apply 1, and then 0, and then 0, this point, and then we go x. This is a point that is in the unstable manifold of Q, because when you go back by applying F naught, you go to 0. Well, I call Q is this point, sorry, the point P is point. Okay. This point is in the same in the unstable manifold of Q, and is also in the stable manifold of Q, because when I apply 1 minus t equals to 0, and then you start to apply F naught, and then we'll accumulate to that. And then this is something that we call a homoclinic point of Q. Okay. There are much more homoclinic points of P and Q, but then I want you to explain one example. Okay. Well, there is a result. Well, now let me try to explain. Well, let me just say this. Well, for instance, to mention this type of system depends very much on the map, no, and of course the map is one. But for instance, a natural assumption is to assume that this map is has decreasing derivative. Okay, I studied this sort of system with Kathy and Michael, but now my point of view is a little different. Okay, let me say something. There is a, well, let me define what is homoclinic class. Well, you typically, when you talk of homoclinic classes, you only consider homoclinic classes for differentiable dynamics, but in this setting, you can do exactly as in the differentiable dynamics. And due to the fact that we have here this central direction that is one-dimensional, essentially the intersections that we have are either transverse or quasi-transverse. Okay. Then I define the homoclinic class of a solid error. I define the homoclinic class of a solid error. For some parameter is the closure of the unstable manifold of R and the unstable manifold of R. And you define the closure of the set, and exactly as in the case of homoclinic classes in the differentiable setting, you have that this set is transitive.
Unstable and stable and both. One dimensional or two dimensional?
Depends. You take the point R.
Do you include central direction?
Okay. You have a solid R. You don't care
What the dimension of W here?
depends on the if this is a dimension 2, this has dimension 1, and if this has dimension 1, this has dimension 2. Because it depends on the type of the cycle. Exactly. Right? And then this set is is transitive, you have that the periodic points, are there. Of course, here hyperbolicity only refer to the central direction. And for us, these are the elementary pieces of dynamics. Let me make one remark. I am going now to the other blackboard. Let me make a remark. When you deal with homoclinic classes, there are several difficulties. I don't want to tell you all the difficulties that you may have, but let me state two problems. The problem in dealing with homoclinic classes. Well, the first thing is that you have lambda R is a hyperbolic set. And you can define hyperbolic set in this setting exactly as you do in the well, sorry, you can define hyperbolic set in that setting exactly as in the usual case, only using the central direction. If you have hyperbolic set, this set has well-defined a continuation. Okay. But if you have now a saddle, say a saddle for a diffuse F, I can consider the homoclinic class of F. Okay. Of course, if this is a saddle, I can define the saddle for diffuse G nearby F. This is not a problem. Then this is a very well defined object, but the problem is that the homoclinic classes depend only semi-continuously. I don't know, I never know what is the type of semi-continuity. This means that they can explode down up, they cannot implode. And the reason that homoclinic class cannot implode is that homoclinic class is defined using transit intersection, and you cannot destroy a transit intersection. The main thing that the homoclinic class may explode. Okay, and the second thing is, this is the third difficulty. The second difficulty is that you may have two saddles. Then we call R and F, and you may have that these saddles are different. And these homoclinic classes also intersect. Okay. In principle, you may have overlapping of homoclinic classes. This is a very rare situation, but in principle, this might be. Okay. Okay. Well done. Let me now try to return to my SQ product. Well, sorry. I told you that when you consider these SQ products, you can either consider maps which are very nice, like this. For instance, you can think of maps which are close to the identity. I don't want to give many details about that, but you also may consider homoclinic maps like this, having a few distortions. Okay. Well, then I have a paper with Jorge Rocha. Published many years ago in Fundamental, when we prove the following: for every n positive, for every natural number n, it is not important. Then I can pick a map Ft, F0, like this. It is a map no, such that the SQ product Ft has, well, let me try to write this correctly, and basic set. Well, when I need Ft hat, I need the dynamics restricted here, okay? Okay. You fix n, you can pick a map F0, so that F is map Ft has a non-trivial basic set, so that EC is contracting. You also have and get itself. What is it here? I don't think, okay. So much. No trigger boxes sets and that is spanning. Okay, and moreover, this kind of configuration, of course, with positive density. Let me with positive density. Let me try to explain what that means. You have here the space of parameters. Here is 0, here is T. And here you have a sequence of intervals, all of them with the same relative side. This side divide this side by this length is more or less the same. Okay. Accumulating to 0, so that in each interval this sort of dynamics occurs. But and then the price with in that paper, if you give a number n to get n different homoclinic classes, the price that I need to pay is to increase the distortion. They take an n very big. Our construction needs to consider math with a very large distortion, and as n goes to infinity, our construction goes to hell. We cannot do this infinitely many times due to essentially distortion coefficient. And then this result. Well, in view of the result, I try to say, well, it is possible to give another, because it was a construction, it is possible to get n equal to infinity. Probably in that case, you need to replace here basic set by homoclinic class. This is the point of that I want to discuss. Well, there is another point that is important in my constructions. I will erase here because this is a paper that was motivation, but there is another result. This is again. In the 90s, it was essentially my PhD thesis a long time ago. And I will need to restate for this sort of system if F naught has a small distortion. I don't want to discuss this in many detail, but with small distortion. Think that this map is nearby the density or well, something. This has the distortion. This here has the small distortion. Okay. If F naught has a small distortion, the following happen. I consider ft. Okay. I take a solid LT so that TC is expanded. For every saddle, so that LT is expanding, we have that the homoclinic class of LT is contained in the homoclinic class of P. Expanding the Q, sorry. If EC is contracting, then H2 is contained in H. In other words, if you consider a diffeom, a static diffeom with a small distortion, then every saddle that you create according to the cycle is either in the class of P or in the class of Q. That means that you cannot create new homoclinic class because you always have the two initial homoclinic class. Okay? In other words, it means there is no creation, no generation of new homoclinic. Well, now in the rest of my talk, I guess that in more or less 20 minutes or 25, I will try to explain how forming the idea of Newhouse, there have to be an evident idea. I don't believe on that possibility, but I don't know how to prove this.
So, Lorenzo, you have about 40 minutes, I think. So probably
Well, I will go slow. But after 40 minutes for me will be too much. Thank you for the generosity, but I think that also I don't want to torture you too much. It's okay. Then I think that in 40 minutes I will give you all the details of the conclusion. I am this side, no? Okay. Well, the thing that I'm telling you is that I am going to explain you why to try to repeat the Newhouse argument for this kind of maps cannot lead to infinitely many different homoclinic. Okay. And now I am going to do this. As I have a lot of time, then let me start to explain how is the process of construction. Well, we have these two maps. Okay. Well, I put the map like this. Okay. This is my map F1T, and this is my map no. And then what is the way we study, or I study the dynamics associated to this heterodimensional side. You have these two fixed points, which correspond to P and Q. Let me also make here another auxiliary figure. Okay. This. Okay, and then the thing that you do is you fix here a fundamental domain. Let me assume that this.
Would you remind me because
Remind what? Sorry.
what is F1T?
Okay.
You have the picture on the violin.
No, F1T is let me that you I consider this sort of maps.
No, F1T is just
Well,
sigma 2 is shift, yes.
sigma 2 is the chip, this is the interval. F1 is a map, monotone map that has a repelling and an attractive map.
And 0.
This is 0, sorry. And then F1 is called, I don't know, this map. Oh, the color is
My question.
go with it.
Decreasing, right?
See, we what?
Decreasing because my answer.
1 goes to 0. This point on the this point goes to T. Okay, it's
on your picture, it's increasing.
there might be I think that it is this one. Sorry, N minus 1, okay.
And then please
Very
explain
good.
how you get this mapping from this three-dimensional picture on the left. Three-dimensional picture, how you got this?
Well, then the thing that you have is this is the restriction of F naught of the diffeo to this group.
So this is F0.
If it is 0, and F1 is essentially what you do is well, in the moment you take here, you have here the strong and stable formation.
Yes.
You follow this strong and stable formation. You insert here a projective. In that sense, this point 0 goes here, but goes to T.
Yeah, and other points.
Well, I don't know this point goes here into 0, and the points that are on the left of this point. I am not interested because we are going to see on the scale.
We start to the right, they go back to the center.
Back to the center.
Points which are close to 1.
For the point that are to 1, for this point, you have two possibilities. Either you apply F0, then you
No,
go
and I want F1.
if you go F1, you come here.
Because the spoliation goes, no.
Yeah, because this foliation, when I have
I
to
would
do
have read the road with spoliation, okay. So you go along with spoliation.
this is okay. This is more or less the same. This is more or less the same thing that when you project, when you have homoclinic tangency and project along the stable and the stable and No.
I have in mind my 3-dimensional picture.
okay. It's okay, okay. Please add this. Okay.
The second method.
Yes, yes. It's okay. Said what?
No, I think at least I understand the definition.
Okay, good. Well, now the thing that you do is no, you're interested in points which are all the time here. Of course, there are some points which are in the stable manifold of zeros, in the stable manifold of Q, or in the stable manifold of P that I am not interested. But if you have a periodic point, a new periodic point, one thing that I can do is, for instance, fix this interval, assume that the mass is linear, okay? This is the derivative, okay? Let me make a new figure, a bigger one. You take here T, and you take here B minus graph. And fix this fundamental domain that I will put here bigger. And call DT. Okay. Well, you know that any periodic point that is created, or any new orbit that is created, in some moment need to pass through this. It is a kind of when you start their box flow or something like it. You are creating new points, then the new point that you are creating need to pass here. Fine, the return to itself. Well, this is a little complicated because, well, let me do in the super simple situation, assume that you now apply some integers here, and integrate that depend P, and this interval is the point 1 minus T minus P, where lambda is the contraction.
So it is F, no? Or
If not, so yeah, you're completely right.
so now we are assuming F not is good enough.
I am not assuming not. No. Sorry, no.
Okay.
This map, I don't know how it is back, but this map is a monotonous map. Maybe with many the derivatives may change a little, but anyway, it's a monotonous map. I am not accepting points of derivative 0, critical point. The derivative is always possible. This map. Well, the only thing that I am assuming is that I take any point x, the omega limit point of it is the point 1. You push everything to the right. Okay, assume, for instance, that this is the simplest case, that is fundamental domain maximum. Okay. And then, well, now I have two possibilities for this point. I can apply one, or I can apply again F7. I have two possibilities because for this point to the right of 1 minus t, I can apply both f0 and f1. Okay? But let me consider the most complicated case that I am applying f1 of t. Then, when you apply f1 of t, well, 1 minus t goes to 0, and this number comes here. I don't know where. But then you have that the image by f1 of this interval covers here infinitely many fundamental domains because it goes from 0 to some value. Okay. Well, now I need to return to my interval. And then, well, you have a part here that I need m iterates to go there. Now you have this part. I need new color. Let me make this. You have this part, orange, that I am marking here. That marks here by F0, that marks here. And then, well, by A iterates comes here. And then you have now this perfect return. Something like this. That is, for this map, I am applying F0 and P times, then F1 and P, and then F0 and times. Well, now I look to this fundamental domain. Now it's a complete fundamental domain that comes from here. And then for this point, the return that I am considering is 1. Okay, and then the map for this interval is like this. Well, now you look to the next fundamental domain that comes from here, that comes from here. Well, you know how infinitely many branches, and then you have some asymptote because you have here infinitely many fundamental domains, and this is a collection of returns of the type Fn plus k, F1t, F0 and k. You have this is the diagram. Well, here I apply the dynamics that I go from this fundamental domain from this and then apply F1. But now I can do another type of return to BT. Well, I have no space. Perhaps here. Now I can do another type of returns, here is BT. Well, I apply F0 in t plus 1. Then I am here. Let me use color. Well, this is very bad because there is also orange. You are here. Now when you apply F1, you are to the right of 0. And then what you need to iterate and iterates. Well, I don't know exactly how is this map. For instance, you may have something like this. Something like this. Or very complicated. You have an idea of how are these returns. In this case, you now only have literally many values of F because you are separated from 0. You only cover finitely many fundamental points. Okay, you want to understand the dynamics of this map. What you need to do is to understand this. Well, I don't know, you want to compute iterated function system, family of returns. You decide what is the name for this. But the important thing is that You can now do the following. I am going to the other side. This is my interval 1. I fix here my fundamental domain. I will do a big one. No? And then you are creating periodic points. And not, well, this is a little tricky, but the periodic points appear always in pair. You always that you have a spanning point, you have also a contracting point of the same field. Then assume that you are creating here a pair of periodic points for the random match. This is a pair of periodic points for the random. But let me say that it is a little more complicated because you need not only to consider this return, but you need to consider the composition of all these returns. Because a periodic points, I may obtain a periodic points. Well, first I apply this return, and then I apply one return like this. Well, you have that periodic points are you obtained combining the different types of returns that I have. Okay. And then assume that you create these two periodic points. Assume that the points are like this. And then you look to the orbit. This is a periodic orbit. That means that when I compose all these returns, I get a periodic point. I don't know if this periodic point is obtained periodic. This pair of periodic points is obtained periodic in the third return, or maybe that it is periodic after two returns or three. Let me make a figure. For instance, this. Here I know you're applying it. No. Well, I return. Well, I have 45 minutes there. We have this periodic point. This is a periodic point that corresponds to two returns. Okay. Okay. And then first thing, I want to well, this is a hypothesis that I need to put. If not, the situation is much more complicated, and I don't believe that it will. Is that, you know, I want to mimic Newhouse. Mimic Newhouse. And then, mimic Newhouse is the following. We have two new saddles. I assume that these saddles have trivial classes. They are related by a cycle. And then, unfolding this cycle, we create new saddles, new two saddles related by cycle. Okay, if you assume that, let me call this is the saddle of the second generation, let me call P1 and Q1. Well, I am doing this figure In such a way, all these intervals are disjoint. Why? Well, assume now that you take this interval here, and you have some iteration of this interval that overlaps with it. Okay? Okay. Well, at the beginning, there is not much to do. I do here. But now I decided to iterate one more, for instance, by F0 comes here, and then I get something like this. But this means that this point has some iteration, forward iteration by my iterated phantom system that goes inside this interval. But it's more or less like in this situation. We have, the point 1 that plays the role of this point here has some iterate that goes inside, and this implies you have this kind of figure. This implies that the unstable manifold of P1 intercept the stable manifold of P1, and you have that is I will not allow in the code. Okay, and then I produce my first generation of periodic points like this. Let me erase the blackboard. But I will do now a simpler figure because otherwise it would be impossible to follow. You have here the fundamental domain, the new pair of points. And assume that you have something like this. Let me assume that you close in the first term to simplify that. Okay. This is the first step. And then in the second step, you are now creating. Now this is the point 0 prime, and this is the point 1 prime. And then you are repeating the same construction in this interval. You have two periodic points. This point has a cycle. You for the cycle, you create new classes. And that means that inside this figure, you have the same figure that I have in the first step. Okay, let me write like this. Okay. You have this, and inside this fundamental domain, you also have another periodic point, and you are repeating this in all the steps because you are translating by the dynamics. I have 4 intervals. Okay, well, perhaps the returns are more complicated, but I don't want to be. But and then you repeat this infinitely many times. Here you have new interval, well, and so on. But this figure that I am doing is really very, very bad because indeed, perhaps the figure is like this. Let me do. In the first iterate, you have something like this. In the second step, you have something like this. And so on. Then, well, and I am repeating this in all the events. And then you have 2 possibilities. You have K1. Well, in this step, you define Ln. What is Ln? Ln is the length of this interval that you need to close. Okay. And then observe that you are constructing a nested sequence, and in each step you are creating points which are inside the first iteration. This is a decreasing sequence. You have left and left step. And then you have now two cases. The first case is when this number goes to 0. And the second one, this number convert to some number at infinity different bigger than 0. Well, if you are familiar with distortion properties, if you want to estimate to compare the derivative of this point and the distortion, essentially the distortion is related to the length of this interval. Let's do some again. And then if n goes to 0, that means that at some extent the distortion is small. The distortion of the cycle. And if you remember the result that I explained to you, in this case that is not possible to generate new homoclinic class. And then you cannot have a situation like this. You have in an interval, inside you get an interval that is small, and the next you have two steps, 4, and then at the end you go to 0. This will produce after some iterate and cycle with very small distortion, and that means that you cannot generate more. But well, the other possibility is that this number goes to some limit that is not there. Well, what that means? Well, it means the following. Let me do a new figure. Now it remains to consider the case with this number compared to some number that is 4. This means that in each step you almost occupy all the space, because if you in each step lose some part of a fixed part, a fixed proportion of the interval, at the end of the day you go to 0. And then what you have is something like this. Let me do this. You have here 0, 1. You have here, well, the fundamental domain is for generation. And then, well, when you are considering the periodic points, you are filling almost all the interval, because if you are losing a fixed proportion, you will go to 0. Then you more or less, will you go to next and next generation? What you see is a figure like this, or worse, no? We have a figure. Well, maybe after many terms. Okay. But what is the dynamic of my cycle? Well, you simply translate this by some. Well, now it's not the F naught, it's the F naught corresponding to the cycle of the corresponding generation. Okay, you go here. You feel almost everything. And then you now translate by the unfolding of the cycle, well, the corresponding unfolding of the cycle. Well, then you get something like this. Almost fill all the space. And that means that now, when you translate this interval to this part, but this is some work, but then you necessarily get some intersection or overlapping of the interval. And then this implies that at that moment, then, when you translate, this implies that they are overlapping of the interval. This is not completely obvious, but and then, well, you get something like this. For instance, this interval maps here. And then that means that this point is mapped here, but some iteration. And then that means that for this point we have homoclinic points, and then you are not creating independent class. Well, this is what we do. And then well, the next step that we are interested is, well, we have this sort of dynamics. And then well, we are interested in how good to introduce infinitely many Riemannian dynamics, something like this. But this is part of a different. This is part of a different history, and I think that I will stop now. I think that is okay.
We have one question.
So,
So in the blood picture, how do you know that you don't hit exactly the intervals, those small intervals? Because you
well, this is a combinatorial argument because no, but this is a good question because I did this, but I decided to draw it in the first time. But then you may decide to have more iterates, all the corresponding iterates. And more. And then you carry not only this interval, you carry infinitely many, and the only thing that you need is that some of them overlap. And then at some moment here you have some of them that are very small. There is a quite annoying argument. This is the most complicated part. Well, you need to introduce some things return, but probably the most annoying part is to discuss these kind of things. But if I remember correctly, we need to consider this and one image, and that is enough to get over. Because why? Well, I think that it's a kind of the course kind of response. I think that you have all things that you project in the first iterate. You have the one that projects to the second iterates, and then you go from one side to the other, and then you need to count the spaces that you. It's not I don't remember exactly all the details, but it's a combinatorial. Combinatorial is a big word for. It's an easy combinatorial argument, one that you discover the right thing to do.
Other questions, remarks?
Well, I could words what I think I did already several times here when you were talking about that.
But perhaps it's always to do the same case, so it's not that bad.
But why not to remind us?
Okay, it's a very good principle.
About 40 years ago, I wrote a paper where we had dimension 3. We have strong stable, strong stable, and here settled. Here you have unstable central.
Yes.
And here we have stable central.
Yes.
And this thing, which is weak stable, can so this is central unstable can intersect the along a curve. And here also intersection of these two, drawn on this side is also a curve.
Well, this,
Maybe. And then here you have strong stable relation.
this is,
And here, not unique, but this is the picture is a result of some bifurcation. Very picture. And here you have strong constant. So I made one picture, and then this picture of intersection, we made a weak shift. So that what you did was more or less shift to that direction. It is different picture.
I think that is not that different picture. I think that you are doing more or less.
I'm not so sure. I think that that's not, because I obtain here after this pushing, I lose 7 more, and I have, and because of this, after very weak push, I obtain a lot of time to make this contraction very strong, a lot of time passing through this, making this unstable very, very strong. So in the limb, I obtain a mapping of a circle into the circle. So fundamental domain here is a fundamental domain here, but they are identical. I obtain a mapping into the circle. On this picture, on the picture like here, I obtain a mapping which is not many to one because of this fault. But one can have a fault here also. So I obtain multi-valued mapping of a circle into the circle. On the picture on the plane, this mapping looks like this. Because it has period of time because of the circle, and so it is just starting bifurcation. When we push here, we obtain a mapping to such a graph, and it translated by a parameter. We obtain very rich phenomena, and but the mapping may happen in sort of multi-value. We have these faults on this side. So we have some choices on the image. Like in your picture, there are also some choices.
Yes, perfect.
And then we have the one possibility, but another possibility is that this intersection is not connected, that there is a circle, then image of the circle, etc. So another possibility are like bubbles.
What do we have in intersection of the unstable?
We can stable with mixed stable. The question is whether it is just a family of circles or it is just connected joining 0 to 1. Okay, and then again, one can push this to moving of bubbles. One can make composition, etc. So I have the impression that maybe it's a different situation. I understand, but there are some maybe relations.
I think that means that you are working all time. I think that you are completely right.
My paper was from the beginning of the 80s, and it followed a paper by Newhouse.
Exactly.
They did it on the plane, not in the tree, and had kind of Henon attractor. Here I obtained kind of Henon-like saddles. Because this pushing makes kind of Henon. If we have just dimension 2, we have a certain method to fall in the circle. What is the limits? This is after projecting to dimension 1, but before, just before the projecting, so I just would be very happy if somebody continues. But family in Brazilian about this.
I think that when we need to go into very old time, I will mention we're trying to mention the book, the paper by Newhouse. Yeah, but I remember that at some moment in Brazil, people were very excited by all this thing about and like attraction, the prevalence of and attraction. It's not really and the problem. I remember a lot of time the code was very disappointing. This is when you try to homoclinic tangencies. You have positive methods. This is the paper like what they have Bentley Carlson, the after the Bolivariana. You have positive set with respect attraction. Then we try to get this with density. And I remember perfectly once after we discussed it with George Rocha and Marcelo Viana, we were trying to do this figure, and then something on the right of the blackboard, we did this figure. This. That is a variation of the figure. Well, now you have something like this. Tangency. This. And then we thought that this was a good possibility of that. But suddenly, in some moment, we did this figure. You have your southern node, so it's like this. And then you have a critical thing. And then in this case, when you have polystack, no, it is problem. The interesting thing in the problem when you thought about this possibility, you didn't know about well, this was much later about all the theory of normal hyperbolic reduction and all this stuff. No, okay, this is the work. Probably look into this side of system now. Perhaps we know much more people. I remember that we wrote a paper with some, and I did something like this. I think do the unfolding of the cycle, and then perhaps you also get similar things. I think that is the problem of all these things that, by the way, I like very much. And then it's not the first time that you will have this discussion in Warsaw. Is that it is very complicated if you are mixing something that is local intrinsic, that is the southern node, but other things which are semi-global, that is the return. I think makes everything very loose. You are completely right that these are things in the same philosophy.
So the idea was, my idea was the solution of instability of one parameter families of the homoclinics. Because times Newhouse perspective, they solve it by this analysis. They introduce the rotation. And if you changes after changing of parameters, they prove it instability of such one cycle tangency. Dimension 3 afterwards, when we could open the file, whether hyperbolicity is best, whether really pushing I can change the stuff. So I left it open, but now it's open. So anyhow, I would, that's why, I need to understand what is functional. I don't think that's the phenomenon. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, since we already a few minutes over time, let's maybe check if we have questions from online audience. Questions, Mark, if you can just start the microphone. Patients, no questions from online audience. So let us thank again.